Last year, Father's Day started out like any other. I was always the first to wake up. I never slept well, so I knew it would be a while before my wife and our two daughters, 18 and 17, finally joined me. Every year for Mother's Day, I made it special for her. Breakfast with mimosas, a light lunch of cheese, fruit, and nuts with a good bottle of white wine. And for dinner, her favorite, grilled steak and baked potatoes, paired with a Cabernet Sauvignon. When the girls were little, they helped me make breakfast and wait for their mom. But as they got older, I was usually left alone to pamper her. No big deal. I didn't mind. My wife always returned the favor on Father's Day. She'd cook me a special breakfast, even though I still grilled the steaks for dinner myself. Last year, on Father's Day, I waited for her to wake up, something that never happened on any other morning. She didn't know it, but I usually grabbed something small around 6 a.m. I'd starve to death waiting until 9, which, honestly, was early for her on weekends. When she finally woke up, she kissed me, wished me a happy Father's Day, and started making breakfast for the family. For lunch, we went to this little cafe with artsy sandwiches. It was a good day. My wife has always been a slave to the calendar. She manages everything, holidays, birthdays, school events, all written neatly on the dry erase board in the kitchen. Nothing ever gets missed. At the end of May, while updating it, she said, "Hey, Bill, your birthday falls on Father's Day this year. It wasn't the first time." So I just smiled and said, "Nice, that'll save you some money. But don't you dare cheat me out of 2 gifts." She laughed. "You'd never let me live that down if I did." "I'll have to do something special for you this year." I kissed her cheek and squeezed her hip as I left the kitchen. I hoped she meant something. More than just the usual birthday and Father's Day routine. But over the next few weeks, something felt different. Off. She started acting strange. Working late, snapping at me and the girls over small things, dressing up more for work. She was a bakery manager at our local grocery store. Not exactly a job that needed makeup and perfume. But now she wore both. She even left an extra button undone on her shirt. At first, I brushed it off. But by Friday, right before my birthday, it became impossible to ignore. That night, she came down the stairs dressed to kill, a short new skirt, nude stockings, high heels, her hair freshly done, and her skin looking tan. I whistled, "Damn, did I forget we're going out tonight? Let me get dressed real quick." She shook her head. "No, Bill, I'm going out with a few people from work. You can order a pizza or something. The girls are going out too." I was stunned. She had never done that before. And it wasn't on her precious calendar. "You didn't tell me you had plans," I said quietly. "I thought we were finishing our shows tonight." For a split second, fear flashed across her face. Then she softened her tone. "I'm sorry, babe. I was just asked today." I looked her up and down and said, "So, in 1 hour, you bought a new skirt, went tanning, and got your hair done?" She snapped back. "I worked half a day. I just wanted to look good for a change." Before I could respond, she walked out. No kiss, no goodbye. Nothing. She came home just before midnight. Her hair was up now, her perfume gone, and she walked straight upstairs without a word. A few minutes later, I heard the shower running. That's when the first real pit formed in my stomach. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The next morning, Saturday, she didn't even kiss me goodbye when I left for work. That had never happened before. At the store, I ran into Missy, our red-headed barista with bright blue eyes. She smiled and said, "What's wrong, Bill? You look like someone killed your cat." I forced a grin. "I just have a lot on my mind," she nodded. "Give me 5 minutes, I'll get you a cup of our best." Work was a blur that day. I tried to keep busy, but my thoughts were spinning. When I got home, my wife and daughters were heading out again, this time to a concert with friends. She barely said a word to me. I tried to act normal. But that night, I broke one of my own rules. I checked her email. Nothing. Her phone was locked. Laundry already done. No evidence. I went to bed restless. The next morning, my birthday and Father's Day, I woke up early as usual. I made some toast, poured coffee, and sat outside, trying to enjoy the morning sun. Around 9, I went inside and saw my wife and daughters packing lunch. "What's going on?" I asked. "We're going to the beach," my daughter said, smiling. "Oh, okay," I muttered, heading upstairs to get ready. But then I heard the door slam. "Bye, Daddy. See you later." I looked out the window, and they were gone. I stood there in disbelief. My wife had taken our daughters to the beach, without me on my birthday, on Father's Day. My phone rang. It was my mom. "Hey, Billy! Happy birthday and happy Father's Day." "Thanks, Mom," I said quietly. "Kathy got big plans for you today?" "No, she took the girls to the beach." There was silence. Then she said softly, "That's not like her. I'm sure she's got something special planned later." I wanted to believe that. I really did. But deep down, I knew something was broken. I spent the morning cleaning the house just to keep busy. Then the phone rang again. My assistant from work. "Bill, sorry to bother you, but Missy got hurt this morning. A customer bumped her, and she fell down the stairs. She's at the hospital getting x-rays." "Damn," I sighed. "Thanks for letting me know." After that, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I went out for breakfast. IHOP was packed. Families everywhere, laughing, smiling, fathers surrounded by love. It hit me hard. I left before the food even came. Ended up at McDonald's, eating pancakes in my car, staring out at the same lake where I used to take my girls boating when they were little. Back then, they loved being on the water. Fishing, swimming, laughing. But as they got older, they drifted away. Like their mother. By 1 o'clock, I still hadn't heard from her. No calls, no texts, nothing. I stopped by a cafe for a sandwich. As I scrolled through Facebook, I saw something that made my blood run cold. My mother-in-law commented on one of my wife's posts. "Looks like you're having a wonderful day at the beach with the girls." She was posting pictures, smiling, laughing, acting like everything was perfect. I sat there staring at the screen, realizing maybe it was perfect, just not for me. "Jerry, it's nice to meet you both." They finished their hand and dealt me in their little 5-card game. "Help yourself, Bill," Lance said, setting the cooler on the floor. I thanked him and pulled out a Miller Lite. "No kids? Or is the ex having them with a new man?" Jerry asked with a smirk. I frowned. "My wife and the girls are at the beach. They don't seem to know what day it is." "Sucks," Lance added quietly. "I don't see my boys much." "Both are serving." Jerry nodded. "My daughter lives in California. My grandson Charlie just turned 2. I'm going there next week." "That's great," I said with a smile. "When my girls turned 17 and 18, I started missing the little ones running around." They both nodded understandingly. After some small talk, somehow the topic drifted back to my wife. "Do you think she really forgot?" Jerry asked. "Or is she avoiding you on purpose?" It was the question I'd been asking myself all week. I told them about everything. The strange behavior, the Friday night she went out, all the warning signs. They both shook their heads. "She's cheating on you," Lance said bluntly. Jerry nodded in agreement. I can't believe it," I said. But as soon as Lance said the words, I realized it was the only thing that made sense. I just didn't want to believe it. "Look, Bill," Lance said, leaning forward. "I've been through this before. The changes in behavior, the sudden nights out, the new clothes, the disrespect. I've seen it all. My wife cheated on me with a coworker a couple of times. When I found out, I divorced her. Biggest mistake of my life." I stared at him. "She cheated on you. And divorcing her was the mistake." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I was broke for 5 years paying child support and alimony. I missed her every damn day, loving her from across town in a lonely apartment while she lived alone in my house. She might have cheated, but I was too arrogant to forgive her. 7 years later, we got back together. Happier than ever now." I shook my head. Jesus, man. Giving her body to another man is the biggest insult, the ultimate betrayal. If she is cheating on me, then either she's so obsessed with her lover that she forgot my birthday, or she's purposely blowing me off. Either way, it's unacceptable." Lance sighed. "Bill, trust me. If you love her, find a way to forgive her. You'll be better off in the long run. Guys our age don't get second chances at love." I thanked him, though I didn't believe a word of it. Inside, I thought he was crazy. There was no way I could forgive a cheating wife. No way I could stay married to her. I shook both men's hands, wished them well, and left. Back home, I sat on the couch scrolling through Facebook. It was almost dinner time. My feed was filled with smiling pictures. My wife and daughters having the time of their lives at the beach. I felt something inside me break. Enough, I muttered. I need to stop acting like a lost child. So what if she forgot my birthday? It happens. She forgot Father's Day, too. What's the difference? But deep down, I knew that wasn't the real issue. I was sure she had cheated on me Friday night, and maybe many times before. It was time to face reality. Time to move on. I decided to treat myself to dinner at my favorite steakhouse. I took a long shower, put on my sport coat and slacks, and drove into town. At the bar, I sat with a bottle of champagne and one glass, for me. An older man took the empty seat beside me. He noticed the single glass and frowned. Celebrating alone? He asked. Or am I taking someone's place? No, I said softly. I'm alone. He nodded. I'm waiting for my 3 generations of redheads. My wife's helping my daughter. She broke her arm today. Guess she's not good at doing things left-handed. He chuckled. You never expect your grown kids to break bones? I smiled politely. Yeah, I get that. He went on. Looks like I'll be cooking for myself for a few weeks. My wife will be busy taking care of Missy and Mia. My head snapped up. What did you just say? Before he could answer, a little girl ran across the bar yelling, Grandpa! She leapt into his lap, wrapping her tiny arms around him. A second later, I heard my name. Bill! I turned and saw Missy, my coworker, with her arm in a cast. Beside her stood a woman who looked just like her, only older. Hey, Missy, how's the arm? I asked. She smiled weakly. It's okay. I'm on painkillers, so I don't feel much. It hurt like hell when they said it, though. Missy introduced me to her parents, Jack and Mary, and her adorable daughter, Mia. Where's your wife tonight? Missy asked. I sighed. I don't know. She took my girls to the beach this morning. Haven't heard from them all day. Her eyes widened. Seriously? On Father's Day? Worse, I said. It's also my birthday. Oh my God, she gasped. She blew you off on your best day of the year? What's wrong with her? I didn't want to get into it, so I just shrugged. Well, forget about her, Mary said firmly. You're joining us for dinner. Before I could protest, Jack added with a grin, Don't argue, Bill. It's not nice to turn down redheads. I chuckled. It's your family dinner. I don't want to intrude. Hell, you're not intruding, he said with a laugh. This is our day too, right, Pumpkin? Right, Grandpa, the little girl said proudly. Jack winked at me as the buzzer for their table went off. Pay your tab and join us. I smiled and followed. Dinner was surprisingly pleasant. We laughed, shared stories about our kids, and Mia kept giggling at the embarrassing tales her mom told about growing up. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. It was my wife. I looked at the screen, then set it face down on the table. Your wife? Mary asked gently. Yeah, I said. It's more than you're saying, isn't it? Missy asked quietly. I think so, I admitted. But I have no proof. Mary looked at me, then at her husband. Everyone makes mistakes, Bill. Maybe you can find a way to forgive her. Missy turned to her mother, surprised, as if those words meant more than they should have. I didn't respond. I simply called for the check. Well, thank you for letting me join you, I said, standing up. I appreciate the company. Jack shook his head. Bill, it was an honor. Dinner's on me. Happy Father's Day. I thanked them, signed the receipt, and left. Driving home, my phone rang over and over. My wife again. I ignored every call. When I walked into the house, 2 whirlwinds of energy hit me. My daughters, hugging and kissing me, apologizing through tears. Daddy, we're so sorry, Jill sobbed. We didn't know it was your birthday. Please don't hate us. I hugged her tight. No, baby. I love you more than life itself. You didn't know. It's not your fault, she sniffled. Mom suggested the beach last night. We just thought it'd be fun. We didn't think. It's okay, sweetheart. I'm not mad at you. I wasn't mad at them. I was mad at her. I walked past my wife, who was crying in the kitchen, and went upstairs to change. When I came back down, she was alone on the couch, still sobbing. I'm sorry, she whispered. I shook my head and stepped out onto the deck, lighting a cigar. It was a beautiful night, too beautiful for the pain in my chest. After a few minutes, the door slid open. Bill, she started. What's his name? I asked without turning around. She froze. What's his name? I repeated. The man you slept with on Friday. Silence. Then the door closed behind her. She didn't deny it. That was all I needed to know. Almost 20 years of marriage, gone. That night, I lay awake thinking about everything. How long had it been going on? Was he her first? Did I know him? Were my daughters even mine? The next morning, I decided I'd request paternity tests as part of the divorce. I needed peace of mind, and she needed to face her shame. I spent the rest of the night researching divorce laws online. That's how I spent my birthday, my Father's Day. When I woke at dawn, she was asleep beside me, curled up like a child, peaceful. Too bad she wasn't mine anymore. I showered quietly, grabbed my things, and headed for the door, only to find Jill waiting in the hallway. "How bad is it, Dad?" she whispered. I sighed. "It's as bad as it gets." "Can't you forgive her?" she asked. "Maybe it was just one mistake." I shook my head. "Honey, she didn't just forget my birthday?" "She cheated on me." You can't cheat on your spouse and still love them. Love isn't selfish, and what she did was pure selfishness. Jill started to cry. "But she loves you, Dad." When Grandma called last night asking why she hadn't wished Grandpa a happy Father's Day, she dropped the phone and screamed. She thought something happened to him. She fell to her knees, sobbing that she loved you. I paused. "Then why cheat?" She didn't have an answer. "Go get some rest, honey," I said softly. "We'll talk later." That day at work, I was calm, too calm. The only unusual part was filing paperwork for Missy's accident. When she came in to sign, she looked at me gently and said, "How are things at home?" "Not good," I replied. She didn't deny the affair. Missy sighed. "I'm sorry, Bill. My ex-husband cheated on me while I was pregnant. I kicked him out before my daughter was even born. My mom was furious, said I was throwing away my life." I raised an eyebrow. "Your mom, Mary?" She nodded. "I thought it was strange last night," I said slowly. "When she told me to forgive my wife, she looked right at your father." Missy frowned. "Yeah, I noticed that too," she sighed. "I'm not sure who cheated on who, but I guess even after all these years, some scars." "They're free to live as they please. I prefer never to trust a liar." "Me too," I said firmly. Kathy wasn't home when I got back from work. She was probably off somewhere having sex with her new stud. I was pissed. So I got back in the car and drove the 2 miles to her grocery store. Her car was parked in the lot. But to my surprise, I saw her sitting inside it and with a young man. When I stopped right in front of her car, she noticed me. I saw her yell, "No!" She opened the door, but I had already made up my mind. If she wanted to cheat on me, he could have her. I was done. I drove home, went upstairs, and started packing. I planned to stay at a hotel until I found an apartment. Before I knew it, Jenny and Jill were crying, begging me to stay. "Sorry, girls," I said quietly, "but your mom was just about to cheat on me. I caught her sitting in her car with another man." "Dad, this has to be a mistake," Jenny cried. "Girls, I know what I saw." She had a man in her car. Why would she stay after work, sitting in the parking lot with him, if she wasn't going to take him somewhere? You can't say they were just having lunch. There's no innocent explanation for that. "Daddy, please don't break up our family." Jill sobbed. "Honey, your mother ruined our family. It's not my fault." I hugged them tight, kissed their cheeks, and whispered, "I love you, girls. I'll be in touch every day." Then I left them crying in their room and walked to the garage. As I was pulling out, I was nearly hit by Kathy speeding away. I just shook my head and drove on. The next week was pure hell. I refused to take my wife's calls. For the first 3 days, she called me every single hour. She must have taken a week off from work because she couldn't have been calling from the shop floor all day. She left countless messages, begging me to call her back. I deleted every single one. After those first few days, my mother, my mother-in-law, both daughters, and even Kathy's sister begged me to talk to her. They all said, "It's not as bad as you think." But every time I asked if she had cheated, no one answered. They all knew. They just wouldn't admit it. So I stopped taking everyone's calls. I told my daughters I'd still talk to them, but their mother wasn't to be mentioned. It took 2 hang-ups before they realized I was serious. By the end of the week, I met with a lawyer. I just wanted to split the house in half. She could keep it until the girls moved out, then we'd sell it. The lawyer said I could get more than half since I paid more of the down payment and the mortgage. But I told him, just make it equal. I don't want to fight. I thought alimony was a given, but turns out since she made enough to support herself, I didn't have to pay her a dime. That was the best news I'd heard in a long time. I wouldn't have to pay her to sleep with her lover. The only problem was proof. Without evidence, the judge might only file it under irreconcilable differences. Still, I was ready to take my chances. When Kathy was finally served the papers, she unleashed her entire family on me. Turns out she only slept with the guy once, that Friday before my birthday. Or at least, that's what she claimed. She convinced everyone that I was the bad guy because I wouldn't let her explain, as if any explanation could make it acceptable. My mother called me a coward for not fighting for my marriage. My mother-in-law said, "You broke your vows too by not standing by her during the hard times." My daughters told me I should stay because our divorce would scar them for life. It was unreal. I hadn't done anything wrong, yet I was the one being accused of destroying the family. It got so bad that I asked my daughters for a DNA test. They refused, until I lied and told them it was a court order. Then Kathy mailed me a letter. She said she had gotten caught up in a kid's attention, and I say kid because the bastard was only 21. She claimed they'd only had sex once, in the back seat of his car, and that he was terrible at it. As if that somehow fixed anything. She even wrote that. After I caught them together, I told the guy privately to stay away from her. It didn't matter. She cheated once. And once was enough. But here's the best part. Because she admitted it in the letter, I didn't have to prove anything in court. Her own words sealed the deal. When the judge read her letter, he finalized everything. 60 days later, I was officially divorced. I found myself alone, completely cut off. For refusing to talk to her, I was labeled immature, heartless, even an asshole. My own mother and daughters stopped speaking to me. It hurt, deeply. But I was on the side of truth. If they didn't want to see that, it wasn't my problem. I still called my daughters every day. They never answered, but I always left messages, telling them about my day and asking about theirs. Life moved on. And then, something unexpected happened. One Sunday morning, I ran into Missy, my coworker, at a coffee shop. She was with her little girl, Mia. We talked, had coffee, and I told her a bit about what I was going through. She listened quietly and said, "I'm sure your daughters will come around, Bill. They're young, impressionable, and living with your wife. You can't imagine what stories she's telling them." "I hope you're right," I said softly. "I miss them like hell." The next Sunday, I went back to the same cafe, same time, and there she was again. "Hey, stranger," she said with a smile. I laughed and invited her to sit. Before long, Sunday coffee became our routine. Weeks passed, and one afternoon, the divorce was finally finalized. I went to my old house. Kathy answered the door, her face red from crying. "They're at school," she said quietly. "But I know why you're here." "Really?" I asked. "Yes," she whispered. "I knew you'd come." "But too late." "Yeah," I said. "You waited until you couldn't stop it, didn't you?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Why couldn't you forgive me, Bill?" "It was one mistake." "Didn't you love me as much as I loved you?" I laughed bitterly. "Did you love me when you flirted with that punk? When you left me alone on my birthday? That's not love, Kathy, and that's betrayal." She cried harder. "I never wanted this to happen." "And I never wanted a cheating wife," I snapped. "But here we are," she gasped, and I cut her off again. "You didn't just break my heart. You turned my mother and daughters against me. I'll never forgive you for that," she glared at me. "It's your fault for acting irrationally." "If you don't make things right," I said coldly, "I'll make sure every man you date knows exactly who you are. You ruined my life." "I'll ruin yours!" she screamed. "You can't blame me!" "Oh, I can," I said. "You cheated." I didn't. I pulled my arm free and said the last word she'd ever hear from me. "Rot in hell for throwing away our marriage." Then I walked out, leaving her sobbing. A few weeks later, Missy showed up at my office. She closed the door behind her and asked, "Bill, does the company have a rule against dating coworkers?" I hesitated. Was she asking what I thought she was? No, I said finally. We just have a policy against harassment. As long as both people are fine, it's not an issue. Good, she said, smiling. Then she placed a folded piece of paper on my desk. What's this? I asked. My address and number? Dinner tomorrow night. Mia's joining us. I smiled. I'd love that, she winked. You're a good man, Bill. You deserve a second chance at happiness. That night, I called my daughters. Hey, it's Dad. I hope you're doing well. A woman at work asked me out to dinner tonight. Anyway, I love you both. Call me soon. 15 minutes later, I got a text from Kathy. I can't believe you're already dating. You're a real bastard, I laughed. She was delusional to think I'd sit around mourning her. At 41, I was still young enough to find love again. Maybe even have more kids. When I showed up at Missy's the next night, I brought flowers, wine, and a stuffed bear for Mia. She opened the door barefoot, in a light sundress, and smiled. Do I pass the test? She teased. God, yes, I blurted out. She laughed. Go say hi to Mia. She'll love the bear. I knelt beside the little girl, and her smile lit up the room. For a moment, I saw my daughters at that age. I missed them more than ever, Missy noticed. You okay? She asked softly. I nodded. Just thinking about my girls. They still won't talk to me. She took my hand. I'm sorry, Bill. You deserve peace. I smiled. Maybe tonight's a start. She smiled back, and for the first time in a long while, I actually believed it. Dinner was ready. Missy smiled and said, I hope you like pasta with meat sauce. Sounds great, I replied. Oh, and I've got garlic bread, too, she added with a smirk. So you should be ready for us to make out on the couch later. Mia giggled, and I stood there, completely shocked that Missy had gotten so candid. She noticed my awkwardness and said, Bill, we're both adults. I've known you for 3 years. I know what kind of man you are. It doesn't take much to realize that I really like you. You're going to be a hot commodity soon, and I want to stake my claim early. Hot stuff? I asked, raising a brow. Yep, she replied. You have no idea how much buzz your divorce has caused at the store. Your appearance on the market, so to speak, has caught the attention of a lot of unmarried ladies. You're a handsome man, in good shape, smart, stable, and everyone knows how much you value loyalty. I sat down at the table, feeling surprisingly good. So I'm getting in line early, she finished with a smile. I reached over, took her hand, and said softly, I like you too. Mia, not wanting to be left out, blurted, Sketty is my favorite. I laughed. I like Sketty too. The fattier, the better. Then I spotted a jar of Parmesan cheese on the table. And you must have really stinky cheese, I teased. It's not stinky cheese. It's Parm, she giggled. Parm? Stinky cheese, I said, bringing the jar up to my nose and pretending to gag. Wow, this is really stinky cheese. Missy shook her head as I handed the jar to Mia. She sniffed it, shrugged, and poured a generous heap over her spaghetti. Over dinner, the conversation stayed light. I asked Mia about her preschool class, her friends, and what she liked most about school. She chattered endlessly, and I genuinely enjoyed every word. When I glanced up, Missy wasn't talking. She was smiling, watching us with warmth in her eyes. After dinner, she began clearing the plates. Let me help, I offered. Oh no, she laughed. She hasn't told you about her favorite TV shows yet. Mia immediately launched into a story about every cartoon she could think of. When Missy finally came back and sat beside me on the couch, I handed her a glass of wine. She sighed. I love being a mom, but sometimes this is the best part of the day. Instinctively, I wrapped an arm around her shoulders. She snuggled closer. It's worse with 2, I said softly. You bet. Do you think your girls will come around? She asked. I hope so, I replied. It's still raw for them, but I'm doing my best. She turned and kissed my cheek. You're a great father, Bill. Don't give up on them. Then she sat up, took a deep breath, and said, Bill, I've already told you that I really like you, and I'm too old to play the will we or won't we game. I'd like to keep seeing you, and that includes inviting you into my bedroom. I opened my mouth to respond, but she raised a finger. I know you want to be a gentleman, but listen. I don't want to be your girlfriend having sex with you or a friend with benefits. I'm warning you, I'm looking for something exclusive. I have a daughter to think about, and she needs a daddy, just as much as I need a husband. She paused, then added, if you just want to experience single life, I'm not your girl. But if you want to see if we can build something real, I'm your woman. Wow, I said. Did you prepare that speech, or was that from the heart? She frowned, thinking I was mocking her. Missy, I said gently, you're right. We've known each other for 3 years, and the last few weeks have been great. I'm a family man, that's all I've ever been. The thought of dating again scares the hell out of me. If my wife could have kept her legs shut, I'd still be a happily married man. But I'm not playing that field anymore. She smiled, took my hand, and said softly, you're beautiful, smart, and you make great spaghetti. I laughed. You make great spaghetti, I corrected. She laughed too, playfully hitting my arm. I'd like to be your boyfriend, I said finally. Let's build something good, for all of us, including your little girl. We didn't make love that night, even though I wanted to. I decided not to rush things, but karma has a strange way of finding you. A few weeks later, I got the perfect chance to meet the guy who'd ruined my marriage. And let's just say, he didn't walk away clean. The car was warm and the girls were quiet. I need you both so much, I said softly. You'll be leaving for college soon, and I'm going to miss you. Jenny sighed. We get it, Daddy, Jill added. We're not going to shut you out anymore. I smiled faintly. I just wish your grandmother had a chance to do the same. Daddy, Jenny said, can we come with you? We haven't seen your new house yet. Maybe we could get a pizza? Sure, I replied. Tell your mom, and let's go. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw Missy's car parked outside. I'd completely forgotten she was coming. Girls, I said, looks like you're going to meet Missy. Is she your girlfriend? They asked in perfect unison, making me laugh. Yeah, well, I mean, we just started dating. Look how he's blushing, Jenny, Jill teased. It's so cute. Before I could say anything, they jumped out of the car and ran straight to Missy's door. Within seconds, they were peppering her with questions, and poor Missy looked confused. Girls, I called out. Leave her alone. Go inside and I'll introduce you properly. They kissed me on the cheek and scurried off to the garage. I walked over to Missy, who was still standing at the door, slightly shocked. Sorry about that, I said. She smiled radiantly and kissed my cheek. Your daughters, she said, shaking her head with a grin. Come on, let's go meet them. I wish I knew they were coming, she added. I must look awful, I laughed. You're fine. They'll love you. Jenny, Jill, I called out, I want you to meet Missy. Jenny, as usual, spoke first. You're super hot, she blurted out. Jill jumped in, laughing. Good for you, Daddy. Missy laughed, and I was too shocked to say anything. Hey, she said, let's take a quick look around the house and then I'll order some pizzas. Sounds good to me, darling, I replied. You read my mind. Oh, the girls teased, making Missy smile. That night, we spent hours around the table, telling stories about my mom. The girls even shared a few embarrassing ones about me, just to keep Missy laughing. It wasn't my fault, I protested. The pier was wet and I fell in the lake. I swear! Before I knew it, it was past 10. Girls, I said, it's getting late. You have school tomorrow, they frowned. Can we stay the night? I don't have beds for the guest rooms yet, I said with a chuckle. Tell you what, I'll pick you up in the morning and we'll go out for breakfast, okay? They nodded, smiling. Dad, Jenny asked, do you need help sorting Grandma's things? Yeah, I said. I could use it, Missy leaned over. Do you want to go for a ride after, or do you need to get home to Mia? She's staying with my parents tonight, Missy said. Jill's eyes widened. Who's Mia? Missy smiled. Mia's my 4-year-old daughter, both girls squealed. Oh my God, I can't wait to meet her, Jenny said. Missy laughed. Someday soon, I promise. Later that night, Missy and I sat on the couch. They're great girls, she said softly. I'm glad you were able to reconnect with them. I sighed. Me too. I just wish it didn't take my mom's death to make it happen. She snuggled into my arms and I fell asleep holding her. When I woke up the next morning, we were covered with a blanket, and she was still curled up against me. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I fell asleep on you." "It's okay, baby," she murmured, stretching. "You've had an emotional day. Would you like to join me and the girls for breakfast?" I asked. "Only if I can take Mia," she smiled. "Of course. They'll love her." We met my daughters at IHOP. As soon as they saw Mia, they ran to her, picked her up, spun her around, and tickled her until she squealed. She laughed so hard that she shouted, "I have to go to the bathroom!" "We'll take her!" my girls said in unison and dashed off. Missy chuckled. "I hope it stays that way for years to come." At breakfast, Mia talked nonstop. She asked my daughters about school, movies, and their favorite shows. They adored her instantly. My daughters had always been good with kids. They were neighborhood babysitters, and it showed. Even Missy fit right in. There was no tension, no awkwardness. I didn't understand it. The girls hadn't talked to me for months after the divorce. But the second they met Missy, they were all smiles. After handling phone calls, the funeral arrangements, and cleaning out my mom's house, I finally had a quiet evening to breathe. During dinner, Jenny suddenly asked, "Daddy, are you in love with Missy?" I laughed nervously. "We've only seen each other a few times outside of work. It's too early to call it love." "Okay, Dad," Jill said, rolling her eyes. "But have you seen the way she looks at you? Like those old cartoons where the girl has hearts floating around her head." I smiled, but before I could reply, they both said at once, "We like her." I froze. My smile faded. I threw my pizza slice down and stood up, frustrated. "Girls," I said, "how can you break my heart all this time, shut me out, ignore me, tell me to go to hell, and now suddenly say you like my girlfriend? What did I do to deserve that? Do you know how many times I cried after leaving you messages you never answered?" "Dad," Jenny said softly, "Mom made us." "What?" I asked. Jill looked down. "It all started when Mom told us that if you thought you were losing us, you'd come back to her and we'd be a family again." "We're sorry," Jenny added. "She told us that you left us, that you wouldn't pay for college because we wanted to stay with her. She said the messages you left were just a ploy, that you were pretending to be the good guy for the judge." I felt my chest tighten. "And you believe that?" "Dad," Jill whispered, "how would you react if someone told you every day that Mom's one mistake shouldn't destroy 20 years of love?" I swallowed hard. "Would you let your boyfriend cheat on you?" They didn't answer. Tears filled their eyes. I sighed and opened my arms. They both rushed in and hugged me tightly. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I missed you so much." After we calmed down, I said, "It's time to get you home. You've got school tomorrow. Tell your mom about the wake and the funeral. You'll need time off this week." We hugged again, and I watched with warmth in my heart as they drove away. I looked up at the sky and whispered, "You didn't have to go to bring the girls back to me, Mom, but thank you. I'll miss you." The wake was hard. I never liked them. Sitting in a room with a body always made me uneasy. My mom looked peaceful, though. She'd planned everything herself, the casket, the music, even the flowers. All I had to do was show up and honor her wishes. When my daughters and my ex-wife Kathy walked in, I felt a lump in my throat. My girls hugged me, tears streaming down their faces. Kathy quietly placed a photo into the casket. A picture of her and me, holding our babies, with my mom in the middle, smiling from ear to ear. I picked up the photo and placed it near my mom's hands. It was the first time I cried that day. When the priest called us forward, Kathy stayed seated in the back, alone. It didn't feel right. My mom had loved her like a daughter. I walked to the back, took Kathy's hand, and said, "Come here. You don't need to hide." She broke down, sobbing, and whispered, "Thank you." We walked to the front together. Missy took my hand and whispered, "You're a good man, Bill." It was a strange feeling, holding Missy's hand while my ex-wife sat only a few feet away. Later, as the room emptied, Kathy approached me. "Thank you for inviting me into the family today," she said. "It means more than you know." "She loved you like a daughter," I said. "It was the right thing to do," she smiled weakly. "You may not know it, but he was a mama's boy," she said to Missy. "It's going to be hard on him." She hugged me and walked away. That night, Missy held me close. "You did the right thing," she whispered. "Your mom would be proud." Life went on. My girls went to college. Missy and I stayed together, stronger than ever. Kathy moved on too. She started dating a divorced father. He's a nice guy. I hope it works out for them. Some people say I should have forgiven her for her one mistake, but I can't. Maybe that makes me the bad guy in some people's eyes, but I can live with that.